With the announcement of a new Phoenix, a new Leon, and more information on the upcoming Metal Fight-inspired Aero Pegasus, today is a huge day for Beyblade fans. But with this news, there may be some disappointment. So hit that like button, hit subscribe to join the Nook Nation, and now let's move on to our first bit of news, which is LeonCrest. Now this bay was kind of leaked a few weeks ago. We got some pretty bad quality pictures off of like the factory line or something. I chose not to cover it because it was too early to talk about and the pictures really weren't that good. But now we have a full reveal. This is a booster, this is UX-06, and it's also a defense type. It is kind of interesting. They changed from LeonClaw being a balance type to now a defense type in LeonCrest. And it's not going to be the only type change that we see in this video. If you guys want to get the new Leon or the new Phoenix, go and check out Mall of Toys. They have both of these releases up for pre-order right now, and they have a bunch of other X releases like the new Cobalt Dragoon and Black Shell bays. So go and check out Mall of Toys, link in the description down below. Get your pre-orders in for the new bays, and make sure to use code ilinnuc for 5% off. So let's just go over the parts that are in this booster. Starting with the bits, we have Gear Needle, and it is a booster, okay? So we are gonna get at least one reused part. Why they went with Gear Needle here, I really have no idea. I will say it is in this kind of okay, light greenish color, I guess. Whatever, I don't care about this part. A new part that does look really good though is the ratchet, which is 760. Somehow Takara Tomy has made wizard rod combos even stronger. This just looks like a better version of 560 from my point of view. It's pretty round, it's pretty armored, and we do see a side view later on, and it seems to be pretty thick as well. I really don't see why you would use a 5-sided like 560 instead of 760 if you have this part. Maybe it's a little bit too bulky or wide, or they put in some other sort of disadvantage if you use this piece, but I really don't see 760 being worse than like B tier or something. It just looks really good, and like I said, wizard rod combos just got even stronger. And then for the last piece, we have the blade with LeonCrest. And at first I was a little bit disappointed. I will say I am a little bit biased against defense types in Beyblade X. They're typically very unbalanced. They're not really anything special in weight. I mean, Rhino Horn is a defense type somehow. But just like Transformers, LeonCrest is more than meets the eye. There's definitely a lot to see here. This is a 7-bladed shape, but overall it is pretty round. Not perfectly round, definitely less round than, you know, Wizard Rod, which is still super overpowered. And there does look to be a pretty nice layer of metal here, although it could be kind of just a layer. It could be kind of hollow and thin, so we won't really know until we can actually weigh the bay ourselves. But we do see a picture in Korokoro that's a side view, and this blade is really thick. It's definitely kind of chunky. And the main sort of gimmick for this release is that defensive wall shape that we're seeing. And even though it is a defense type, which like I said, I'm kind of biased against, I'm not really the biggest fan of them in Beyblade X, this is kind of what I've been waiting for. Defense types aren't supposed to have the best stamina or be perfectly balanced, but they're supposed to be able to take and absorb hits. And this LeonCrest looks to be the first defense type in all of X that I think really matches that. We don't know if it's going to be heavy. We don't know if it's going to be good even, but this is a defense type I'm definitely looking forward to. There's also the gear chip design in the middle. While the original LeonClaw was a bit more flat and it was like a side view of a lion, here we see a more action-oriented lion kind of popping out at you, similar to the design of Cobalt Dragoon or Dran Buster. Whenever we learned that LeonCrest was going to be a defense type, I was a little bit worried because defense types in X have been kind of not great, but now that we see good pictures here, I'm looking forward to it. So now let's move on to the big news of the day, which is the new Phoenix. And this one might be a little controversial. The new Phoenix is going to be releasing in a triple set on the same day as LeonCrest, so August 10th, and it is PhoenixRudder, and the design here is completely different. It's more of like a Wyvern Gale sort of stamina type, although it definitely looks better than Wyvern Gale, but it's not the typical Phoenix Wing design that we've seen before. Before I give you guys my personal take on this, let's go over the parts. For the bit, we have G, or Glide, and this could be huge. Glide kind of has a taper or even a unite design, but with an expanded gear ratio, similar to Excel or Hexa, and instead of having a standard plastic in the middle, we see here a white POM, which is a slicker plastic, which means overall better stamina. While we have seen different materials on bits in Beyblade X, we've only seen it one time, and that was with Metal Needle on Shinobi Shadow. Needle already isn't that great, and Metal Needle was kind of a stadium destroyer a little bit, but here we have POM, which is going to be slicker and have better stamina. Although there are definitely some drawbacks. Because this X system is very fast and hard hitting, and the plastic has less friction, you're running the risk of maybe being thrown around the stadium just a little bit more. This wasn't really a big issue for Beyblade Burst with pieces like, bearing or yielding, mainly because Burst didn't have that extreme attack power, especially towards the end. But in Beyblade X, it's a different story. But this sort of change is something we've been waiting for a long time. Whether it's rubber or metal or now POM plastic, getting different materials on parts and especially tips is really huge. It's a big thing. And now that we've seen metal and POM plastic, I don't think it'll be that long until we see rubber. Now let's move on to a bit of a less exciting piece, and that is 970. 960 originally came on Phoenix Wing, and 960 is really good. It's one of the limited parts from Takara Tomy. Really strong, really balanced. Not really very burst prone either. I would have liked to see something a little bit newer. 970 is just such a small change from 960, but it's still going to be a really good part, so I'll take it. And then finally, we have the blade, which is PhoenixRudder. And let's go over the facts first before I get into my personal opinions. It is a rounder design by far compared to the original Phoenix Wing. It's also a different type as well. The original Phoenix Wing was an attack type, and it was one of the best attack types in the game, if not the best. And now we have a more endurance-themed bay. It's definitely really round, and whenever I saw this bay for the first time, I thought it looked kind of similar to Wyvern Gale, but like a UX and more extreme version of it. And it's kind of funny, this triple set has a Wyvern Gale, but we'll talk about that in a second. But the design here is definitely really cool with the kind of twisted metal, as well as the sort of flame design kind of baked into the blade itself. And we also see the return of the red metal coat. It looks to me like this one might be a little bit darker than the Phoenix Wing metal coat, but getting a metal coat in general is really cool. There's still very few bays that have it, like Phoenix Wing, Cobalt Drake. I mean, some of like the special limited bays, sure, but standard releases, there's really not many of them at all. And looking at the gear chip motif as well, I do like the design here with kind of the sideways Phoenix. I will say I do like the original Phoenix Wing design a little bit more. And also, for all of those die-hard Dronzer fans, this is not the Dronzer bay you've been waiting for. With bays like Vice Tiger and Cobalt Dragoon, the names are a little bit different. You have kind of like a color and then the animal sort of the bay afterwards. But on Phoenix, you have PhoenixRudder, and there's also no Bakuten Shoot logo baked into the gear motif either. And going back to Leon, I forgot to mention, there is no hexagon shape like we see on Aero Pegasus. So neither of these bays are inspired designs, they're fresh X bays. I'm fine with that, but there were definitely a few people that were hoping the UX Phoenix would be that return of Dronzer, and that's just not the case. Some people may be a little bit disappointed that Phoenix went from being the best attack type in the game to being kind of an unproven stamina / endurance type. It just kind of changed typings and changed energy kind of straight away. But if you really look at it, how could they have made an attack type Phoenix even better? They would have had to make it heavier. And if they made it heavier, then that's just kind of insane power creep, and it's not going to be fair. It's going to be kind of overpowered. They can change up the shape, and that could make the Bay either maybe a little bit better or a little bit worse. So overall, an attack type UX Phoenix probably would have been kind of disappointing as well. This is kind of the problem when you make a Bay that is really, really good. It's just kind of impossible to follow it up and make everybody happy. So there are going to be some people that like this kind of new stamina-oriented design, and then there's going to be some people that are really disappointed that Phoenix is just different now. I will say the one thing I am a little bit disappointed about is the fact that it comes in a triple set. Haven't even really talked about that yet, but it makes the price a little bit more expensive, and the other bays you get in this set are a little, not great. First up, we have a blue Sphinx Cowl on 180 and gear flat. Sphinx Cowl is already not one of my favorite bays, and because it came in a random booster select, there was a few different chances to get it in different colors. So this one kind of seems like it was thrown in there. Gear flat is fun, but it's not really that competitive, and 180 is just, I don't like 180. And the other bay in this set is just a little bit better. We have Wyvern Gale on 260 and Spike. It has Spike again. We're not even going to talk about Spike, okay? We're going to pretend that doesn't exist. But with 260, that is a newer part. That releases with Cobalt Dragoon here in a few days. So if you're not able to get that release or you like 260, then here's another chance to have it. And the monochrome color for Wyvern Gale is cool. They kind of copy and pasted this color a few times, like with Duran Sword and Shark Edge from that Tyranno Beat random booster. So it's fine, but I'm just not a Wyvern Gale fan. I'm trying not to be super negative here, but I will say if PhoenixRudder would have released in its own kind of launcher set again, and they just kind of did a different string launcher design, that would have been a little bit better than this triple set where really only one of the bays is good. And the final tiny little tidbit of news, which is just kind of a confirmation of what we've already known, is the new upcoming Aero Pegasus, which is the Metal Fight inspired design, is going to be a rare bay get. So it's not going to come in Koro Koro or release on its own, at least for right now. It is going to be kind of replacing Cobalt Drake in the coming months, which means it is going to be expensive to get if you want to get one for yourself, or you're just gonna have to try your luck at the Beyblade X app. So for all you Metal Fight fans that are just waiting to get your hands on the new Pegasus, good luck. But what do you guys think of the new LeonCrest and especially the new PhoenixRudder? Are you happy with them? Are you kind of disappointed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I'll see you in the next one. Have fun and bay away.